Have you ever wondered why betrayal destroys some people completely, while others seem to rise from it stronger than ever? At first, betrayal feels like a blade slicing through everything you trusted. You stand there bleeding, replaying every moment, how you laughed with them, confided in them, trusted them. The shock isn't just about what they did. It's about the sudden collapse of the world you thought was safe, and then you react. Maybe you lash out in anger. Maybe you retreat into silence, letting grief consume you. Maybe you plot revenge. But every emotional reaction, every tear, every shout, every sleepless night isn't just catharsis. It's surrender. While you are bleeding, the traitor moves forward. While you are frozen in pain, they are plotting their next move. In the brutal game of power, it is not betrayal itself that kills. It's your emotions. The one who stabbed you did not hesitate. Why should you hesitate to respond with precision, with coldness, with strategy? History has shown us time and again, the ones who survive betrayal are not those who feel the most, but those who think the fastest while bleeding. The wound is inevitable. The emotional death is optional. So the real question is not, why did they betray me? The real question is, how fast can I turn this pain into power? Because in the end, feeling too much is not noble. It's fatal. You never see it coming. At first, everything feels real. The friendships, the loyalty, the shared laughter, the promises whispered in quiet moments. You build your life around it, believing that trust is unbreakable. But betrayal isn't an accident. It's a law of human nature. No matter how pure your intentions are, no matter how loyal you have been, betrayal waits. It hides behind smiles. It cloaks itself in promises. It wears the mask of love, and just when you are the most vulnerable, it strikes. Most people crumble because they believe betrayal is an exception, a tragedy, a mistake. But those who rise above understand the brutal truth. Betrayal is inevitable. It is part of the game, part of the climb, part of power. The shock you feel when it happens isn't a sign of injustice. It's a sign of your naivety. Power doesn't belong to those who are surprised when they are betrayed. Power belongs to those who expect it, who see it coming, who calculate every relationship, knowing that one day loyalty will turn into a dagger. The timeline of every great rise to power is littered with betrayals. Friends who became enemies, allies who turned into threats, lovers who became strangers. Betrayal doesn't mean you failed. It means you're in the game. And now the only question that matters is, when it happens, not if, but when will you be ready? Because those who are not ready, they don't survive. At first, the pain feels unbearable. It rips through you, raw, uninvited. Humiliating, the betrayal replays in your mind like a nightmare you can't wake up from. Every word they said, every moment you trusted them. It cuts deeper than any physical wound ever could. But here's the hidden truth. No one tells you. Pain itself is not your enemy. Your reaction to pain is, if you sit in it, if you wallow, if you beg for explanations, you rot from the inside out. Pain untreated turns into weakness, into self-pity, into paralysis. In the brutal reality of power, you have only two choices. The moment pain strikes, either you become its victim or you turn it into a weapon. Those who survive, no, those who dominate are not the ones who feel the deepest hurt. They are the ones who know how to forge their pain into precision, into strategy, into an unstoppable force. The emotional wound becomes a blueprint. The betrayal becomes a lesson. The loss becomes leverage. Pain, when weaponized, sharpens your instincts. It burns away illusions. It teaches you exactly who you are, and more importantly, who you must become. In the beginning, the pain threatens to drown you. But if you endure without flinching, without whining, without crumbling, you emerge from the fire, not weaker but harder, sharper, colder, untouchable. The world does not honor the wounded. It honors those who turn their wounds into weapons. Betrayal always feels sudden, but it never truly is. Long before the knife pierces your back, the warning signs flicker like faint stars in the distance. A hesitation, a broken promise, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Most people ignore these signs. They want to believe, they want to trust, they want to cling to the illusion of loyalty. And that is why they fall. In the brutal hierarchy of power, survival is not about reacting faster, it's about anticipating earlier. The masters of the game never wait to be betrayed. They live every day knowing it is coming. They scan every handshake, every alliance, every whispered word for cracks, for weaknesses, for the hidden dagger waiting behind the curtain. True anticipation is not paranoia, it is preparation. It is the cold recognition that betrayal is not an aberration. It is a law, an inevitable turn in the game. The ones who survive betrayal, the ones who rise through it, are those who make their moves as if betrayal were already a certainty. They don't build walls of blind trust. They build fortresses of quiet suspicion and strategic distance. They do not ask, "Will I be betrayed?" They ask, "When it happens, how will I benefit from it?" In this world, naivety is a death sentence. Anticipation, on the other hand, is a weapon sharper than any sword. Betrayal is never truly invisible. It's only invisible to those who refuse to see. And in the end, it's not the strongest who survive. It's the ones who see the storm before it hits. Power isn't seized by the strongest fist or the loudest voice. It's seized by the calmest mind in the middle of chaos. When betrayal strikes, when the ground beneath you crumbles, the first instinct is to react to rage, to cry to demand justice, and that is exactly when you lose. The real battlefield isn't out there, it's inside you. The moment you let your emotions seize control, you hand your enemy the ultimate weapon. Your vulnerability, your anger blinds you. Your sadness weakens you. Your thirst for revenge exposes you. The traitor doesn't win because they struck first, they win because they made you react. In the game of power, the true masters are not those who suppress their emotions, but those who command them like soldiers. Anger, pain, betrayal, all of it must be acknowledged but never allowed to lead. Imagine standing in the center of a burning battlefield. Everyone else is screaming, running, losing themselves. But you remain still, eyes clear, heart steady. You feel the flames, but you do not flinch. You move only when it's time to strike, never a moment sooner. This is real power, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. Because in the end, it's not the betrayal that breaks you. It's the emotions you failed to control. The world crowns those who suffer in silence and strike with precision, not those who crumble under the weight of their own hearts. Betrayal feels like an ending, and for many, it is. It shatters their confidence, it breaks their spirit, it convinces them they are powerless. But the ones who rise above betrayal see it differently. They see it as a doorway, brutal, bloody, but necessary. Because betrayal is not a verdict, it's a test. Every betrayal carries within it an invitation. Fall apart or rise anew. Collapse or evolve. When you are betrayed, something inside you dies. The illusions die. The comfortable lies you told yourself about loyalty, about human nature, about trust, all of it burns away. And in that ashes, something stronger can be born. If you choose it, the powerful understand that betrayal is not a curse. It's a rite of passage. It separates those who are ruled by emotion from those who are ruled by purpose. The timeline of every great leader, every unstoppable force is littered with betrayals. But they didn't let betrayal define them. They used it as a stepping stone, a brutal but necessary elevation. Betrayal isn't a reason to stop. It's the reason to harden, to sharpen, to adapt. It is the brutal tutor that strips away weakness and leaves only what is unbreakable. So when betrayal strikes, don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What new level must I ascend to now?" Because in the end, those who treat betrayal as the end. But those who treat betrayal as the beginning become unstoppable. History does not remember those who crumbled after betrayal. It remembers those who rose colder, sharper, more relentless than before. Napoleon Bonaparte knew this truth intimately. Betrayed by allies he once trusted, abandoned by those who swore loyalty. Napoleon didn't waste a moment drowning in bitterness. He recalibrated. He turned his pain into strategy, his isolation into singular vision. Every betrayal hardened him, sharpened his ambition, until he carved his name into history with ruthless precision. Cleopatra lived in a world teeming with deceit and political treachery. Enemies circled her like vultures, even among those who claimed devotion. Yet she mastered not only survival, but dominance, weaving betrayal into her political tapestry. She manipulated alliances, seduced empires, and moved pieces on the board, with a coldness masked behind charm. Her heart may have been wounded, but her mind remained untouchable. Angela Merkel, in the ruthless arena of modern politics, faced internal betrayals few ever saw, while others reacted emotionally, seeking vengeance or burning bridges. Merkel remained calm, strategic. She turned every political blow into a stronger hold on power, solidifying her influence when others would have collapsed. She understood that emotional reaction was weakness, but strategic endurance was destiny. Each of them teaches the same brutal lesson. Coldness isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about refusing to let pain dictate your moves. It's about turning betrayal into a ladder, not a gravestone. They did not merely survive betrayal, they weaponized it, and in doing so, they became immortal. When people hear the word coldness, they often mistake it for cruelty. They imagine heartless tyrants, soulless manipulators, broken shells of human beings. But that is a child's understanding of power. Real coldness isn't the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of it. It's standing in the storm of betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, and remaining steady, clear, unshaken. The truly powerful are not incapable of emotion. They feel everything. They feel the sting of betrayal, the pain of loss, the burn of humiliation, just like everyone else. But what sets them apart is simple. They do not let those emotions control their next move. Coldness is the quiet decision to stay disciplined when everything inside you is screaming to react. It is the ability to acknowledge the rage without acting on it. It is the power to sit with sorrow without letting it define you. It is the strength to absorb betrayal and instead of breaking to grow sharper, wiser, more dangerous. Heartlessness is blind destruction. Coldness is strategic survival. There is no power in pretending you don't feel. The power lies in feeling fully and choosing not to flinch, in refusing to let the traitor, the loss, or the pain write your story for you. Those who confuse coldness with heartlessness miss the truth. Coldness is not the death of the heart, it is the weaponization of the heart. The first mistake most people make after betrayal is emotional impulsiveness. They explode in anger. They spiral into despair. They rush to confront, to punish, to demand answers. And at that moment, they lose. Because in the game of power, the moment you react impulsively, you reveal yourself. You show the traitor exactly where to strike next. You show the vultures circling above that you are bleeding, that you are vulnerable, that you can be broken with just a little more pressure. Impulse is the death of strategy. It hands your enemies a blueprint to your soul. It exposes your weaknesses like open wounds in a battlefield, swarming with predators. The most dangerous players are not the ones who shout the loudest. They are the ones who say nothing. The ones who observe, calculate, wait. They absorb the shock, let the traitor think they've won, and behind a mask of calm, they prepare their next move. Every time you react without thinking, you surrender control. You play their game, not yours. And in the arena of power, control is everything. Those who control their emotions control the narrative. Those who control the narrative control the outcome. Never give your enemy the satisfaction of seeing your pain. Never show them the map to your destruction. Impulse is weakness. Calculated. Silence is dominance. There's a point where pain can no longer touch you. Where betrayal, loss, humiliation, they strike, but they don't penetrate. Where you move through the chaos. Not as a victim, but as an unstoppable force. That point is reached through strategic coldness. Strategic coldness is not numbness. It is mastery, the ability to feel pain without being ruled by it, to endure storms without losing direction. It is the choice to detach, to observe, to plan while others drown in emotion. It is the discipline of staying silent when every nerve in your body screams to react. The truly untouchable are not the ones who avoid betrayal. They are the ones who turn every betrayal into ammunition. Every attack becomes a lesson. Every loss becomes a calculated adjustment. Every stab in the back is mapped, studied, and used for future dominance. They do not build walls of bitterness. They build fortresses of foresight and emotional clarity. Their enemies expect them to react, to break, to rage, to self-destruct. Instead, they move silently, calculating, waiting. And when they strike, it's with such precision, such inevitability that resistance crumbles before it can even form. Strategic coldness turns you into something rare, not invulnerable to pain, but invulnerable to destruction. Because when you master your inner world, the outer world loses its power over you, and that, above all, is what makes you untouchable. Pain is inevitable, but what you do with it that decides who you become. Most people waste their pain. They nurture it like a wound that never closes. They turn it into resentment, into bitterness, into a lifelong excuse for why they never became who they could have been. But resentment is a cage. It locks you into a past you can never change. It blinds you to every new opportunity, poisons your judgment, drains your strength. It turns you into exactly what your betrayer wanted. Powerless, stagnant, broken. The powerful know better. They don't resent pain. They recruit it. They weaponize it. They use it to forge something greater inside themselves. When betrayal cuts deep, they don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What must I build now?" They take the rage, the humiliation, the heartbreak, and they mold it into sharper instincts, tougher skin, colder judgment. Every scar becomes armor. Every wound becomes knowledge. Pain in its purest form is fuel. If you let it, it can burn away your illusions, your weakness, your dependency on others for validation. It can harden your vision and ignite a force within you that no one, no enemy, no traitor can ever extinguish. You can either drown in resentment or you can rise in power. Pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. At the end of it all, the question is brutally simple. Will you be ruled by your emotions, or will you rise above them? The betrayal will come. The pain will be real. You will be hurt by people you loved, disappointed by those you trusted, attacked by those you defended. That is not a possibility. It is a certainty. But what happens next is entirely up to you. You can let the emotions flood you. You can let anger turn you reckless, sorrow turn you bitter, fear turn you paralyzed. You can become another casualty in a world that consumes the weak and the impulsive. Or you can master yourself. You can feel everything, but act only when it serves your power. You can take the betrayal, the heartbreak, the disappointment, and forge them into weapons so precise, so unstoppable, that no one can ever touch you again. Those who rise above their emotions do not lose their humanity. They ascend to something rarer. Strategic humanity. Emotion with discipline, feeling with direction, pain with purpose. This is not the easy path. It requires ruthless honesty with yourself. It demands the courage to outgrow your old emotional self and become the architect of your destiny. Betrayal is inevitable. Pain is inevitable. But suffering. That's a choice, and today you must decide. Will you remain a prisoner of feeling, or will you become the master of your fate? In life, betrayal is not an accident. It is a certainty. No matter how kind, loyal, or giving you are, there will come a moment when someone you trust turns against you. The lesson is not to harden your heart against the world, but to master your emotions so the world cannot harden you. Pain is real, but suffering is a choice. The strongest among us are not those who feel less, but those who learn to control what they feel. Instead of letting betrayal define them, they use it to sharpen their instincts, to clarify their vision, to rise above petty emotions that destroy lesser souls. Resentment, rage, and sorrow will always tempt you after betrayal, but acting on those emotions only hands your power to those who wounded you. Real power lies in your ability to feel deeply and yet move strategically, not emotionally. It lies in transforming pain into wisdom, heartbreak into strength, and loss into a weaponized clarity that no one can steal from you. In the end, life is not about avoiding betrayal. It's about becoming so powerful that betrayal cannot destroy you. Be cold when you must, strategic always, and emotionally sovereign above all else. Because the ones who master their emotions master their fate while the rest are ruled by it.